All right. Good morning, good afternoon to all out there in the world, from Japan to India to South Korea to Australia to Raden to Zofingen to France or wherever you are. Welcome to our today's Drupa webinar. It's actually the last webinar on MMServices. You had parts, you had improve, you had startup, you had support, inspect, and today we are talking a bit more in depth on MMUptodate and MMSelect. I hope you can all hear us and you can see also my screen. If someone would show his finger to confirm that this is okay. Perfect, thanks Rito. Okay, so technology seems to be working okay. Then let's start right away. Your presenters today are myself, Adrian Mayr, Head of Product Management, and to my side, Stefan Kocher, who is Product Manager, Program Manager for MMUptodate products.
Hello together.
The rules of conduct in brief, you know them already. The presentation, today's session is recorded, and that means you can use it for your further reference and also for self-study. After today's session, you will receive an email with the link both to the recording of the webinar and to the presentation. During the session, please turn off your microphone so we don't have the noise from all over the world in our session. And if you have questions, please send them via chat. We will end them at the end of the meeting, or if it's convenient in between. Okay, what are we talking about today? MMUptodate, MMSelect are the key topics, but we start with an update on lifecycle management. As this is very important fundament, mainly when it comes to up-to-date and retrofit products, but also when it comes to select. Then we give you an information on our Drupa booth. Of course, those of you who will participate at Drupa, you will join the briefing day, one day prior to Drupa opening. And during this briefing day, we will give you some in-depth information in Düsseldorf itself. But you already have a first glimpse or a first look, information on how the Drupa booth looks like. And in the end, we have some useful links for you to work with. Most of you in the past months had the hybrid service sales excellence training from Tony Kenny or from Jonathan Clark or one other members of the Catalyst group. And you should be aware of our new MMServices navigator. We start with the new installation of a machine with our MM Startup label. Throughout the standard life cycle of the machine, we have improved program, training programs for operators, be it in the factory, be it on site. We have spare part supply under the MM Parts label. We have the reactive maintenance, which is covered under the MM Support label. And we have the proactive maintenance agreements on the MMSelect labels. Once the machine ages a bit more, regular inspections become more important to keep the machine productivity and performance on a high level. Then, over the time, our MMUptodate packages become more relevant to maintain the performance of the machine at an optimal level. At the end of the lifetime of a machine, mostly a relocation takes place, and on the relocation, another startup activity takes place. So this is something you should all know by heart. So if someone wakes you up at 3 o'clock at night and asks about the MMServices navigator and the different labels, you should be familiar with this. What's new now on the services navigator is an information on lifecycle management, where we highlight the 4 lifecycle phases: active, secured, limited, and obsolete. This services navigator will be prominently displayed in our Drupa services booth, and you will have the chance or need to explain it to your customers. So please prepare yourself accordingly, especially when it comes to the life cycle management, what we are going to talk a bit more in detail right now. Another important aspect, of course, is also our Empower Customer Portal, which will also be prominently at display throughout Drupa. All this has the goal that our customers are successful on the long term. They see us as their reliable, strong partner throughout the life cycle of their machine. We help them to maintain peak productivity over the long term. That's our statement we make in this respect. This as an introduction. Now let's jump into life cycle management. You heard a lot of it in the past years, it is really one of our core topics we currently have, and it is really important that all of you know the fundamentals of life cycle management and how to communicate it properly to customers. I'm very well aware that the language needs to be adapted to cultural and regional circumstances, but the core message needs to be conveyed to our customers. Overall, what is it about? When a customer invests in a Müller Martini machine, he does not just buy a machine. He builds up a relationship with Müller Martini, which lasts 15 to 20 years. We need to make sure that we are seen as the reliable partner throughout this 15 to 20 years, and that we are there throughout the whole of its lifetime as your strong partner. This doesn't mean that we can do everything throughout the entire lifetime, but it is important that we are transparent about how much we can support in each of the different phases, because transparency, know what he can expect from us. That's key point for a customer when it comes to risk management, to judge his production and his assets. So we need to make sure that we have an early, clear and open communication about how much service and legacy know-how knowledge we can provide. We have retirements, we have people leaving the company, so we have a lot of lost know-how, especially on legacy machines. And this is a fact. No one can overcome that, and the customer needs to be aware of that. Then we need to clearly communicate how much we can support the customer in the terms of spare parts and upgrades. And a customer needs to know about in which status his assets, his machines are, and how far the machine is from becoming obsolete. Overall, lifecycle management is about to manage the expectations of the customer. It's very important. The customer needs to know what he can expect from us. This has an impact on his business decisions, on his long-term planning, and also on his relationship to Müller Martini, because if we deliver what we promise and do not overpromise and not deliver, then this will have a positive impact on the relationship to the customer. This also helps the customer to protect his productivity because he knows what he can expect from us. And of course, key point here, also from a business perspective, a customer needs to manage his risks. He needs to know which elements in his production hall are critical so he can focus on these ones when he does his business plans about investments. And you heard it from Tony, you heard it from Jonathan. These are difficult discussions in the first place because customers are not used to this, to having these discussions with a Müller Martini guy. But it's important discussions. We need to have them. And in the long term, it will improve the relationship to the customer. Even in the first moment, maybe the customer is at 180 and doesn't like this message at all, but you probably need to explain 2-3 times, and after some time, most customers will understand, because most of our customers are also business people. So it needs to be a business discussion. Going back to rule number 8 of the service and customer care, only promise what you can deliver and deliver what you have promised. I already mentioned it. It is important that we do not overpromise. We need to be clear on what we can deliver, and then we need to make sure that we actually deliver what we promised. Therefore, when we are proactively and honestly informing our customers, we have a clear and open communication. That's what we are talking in lifecycle management. And in the end, this helps us to be seen from the customer perspective as a professional and trusted, strong partner. This is a quick reminder. You all should know that by heart. Sales active, status active means the equipment is actively sold. It is sales active machines such as a Primera Pro, a Prinova, a Ventura, an Allegro, and Antaro. Secured machines are machines where the series production has been stopped. We have extensions available, defined extensions available. We have up-to-date packages available, and we basically have still the full support capabilities, be it first level, second level, or third level. And also on MM parts, in general, we have guaranteed parts availability. Now, you need to be aware that 100%, none of this is 100%. So there might be a part which is currently out of stock or so, even if the machine is secured. But overall, our aim is to ensure parts availability in the secured state. So secured is still a status where the customer can keep calm. He has all our services, all our support. When a machine turns into limited, then extensions basically are no longer available. We have some limitations in the first and second level, on-site and remote support. This depends a lot on the local circumstances. Do you still have local service technicians with know-how about this machine generation? So it's very difficult to give a very generic statement about the capabilities when a machine comes to limited. We have also limited availability of upgrades, updates, and retrofits. So it is mostly focused on specific packages to extend the lifespan of the machine. And we cannot assure any more parts availability. Discontinued parts hard to produce parts and so may no longer be available. When a machine turns to obsolete, it really has reached a certain age. In general, we say that a machine goes from limited to obsolete roughly some 15 years after discontinuation. No more extensions possible, support only on the principle of best effort, no more up-to-date products available, and also parts availability limited or restricted. So basically it's limited to parts which are also used in other machines. The so-called multiple used parts. And that's definitely the time where a customer needs to think about replacing this equipment, as he cannot, when we look about risk management again, he cannot be sure that this machine will be a reliable pillar in his operation. Maybe he has redundancy, then this is less important, but if he has no redundancy for an obsolete machine, he really needs to think about what do I do if the machine breaks down. To communicate LCM, we have a lot of different tools. I don't jump into every detail, but we have our MMServices brochure where we talk about LCM on page 22 and 23. It's a good start to start a conversation about LCM with the customer. You'll find the link in here. Then we have our dedicated LCM brochure, which is covering more detailed information about LCM and gives you a structure guideline on how to communicate LCM to the customer. The link to the brochure is in here. Then we have the LCM status at a specific customer also within Empower. We have basically two views, internal views, which you all should be capable of seeing it. If not, get in touch with us so we can make sure that you have the sufficient access rights. I have an example here how this looks. Now this, of course, opens on the other screen. So let's briefly take the screen over here. Don't look at my password. Okay, I chose Elanders here. This is actually the entry page for Müller-Martini people. Why do we know that it is only Müller-Martini people? Because we have here the Müller-Martini icon. So every page which contains this icon is only visible to Müller-Martini people, not to the customer. This is important for you to know. So not all the information is visible also to customer users. As soon as we have this icon here, it's only Müller-Martini internal. And then we have here the different machines, different lines installed. And if we go in here, we see the LCM status. It's a bit, need to make it a bit smaller. We see the LCM status of every serialized piece of equipment. So this view goes down to every serialized piece of equipment and shows you over here the respective LCM status. If you see something where you think, hey, that can't be, that must be, this status can't be true, then you have here a feedback button, which allows you to give feedback to the organization and inform about wrong data, missing data. Use this functionality, please, to make sure that these data are as good as possible. Data quality becomes more and more important as we have highly interconnected systems. So, and very much of today's activities rely on this serialized pieces of equipment and the respective LCM status. So therefore, my call to action for all of you, please make sure to support us in that, to maintain and increase the quality of data. All right, this is internal view. What does the customer see? Customer sees here empowered customer view. This is limited to the main elements only. Again, if we take Elanders, which actually is a German customer, near, there we go again. Okay. The customer has the equipment module, which shows the key elements, the main elements of his production, the installed lines. Currently here, a bookline diamond, 2 perfect binders, the LCM status visible down here. Active, secured, secured. Vario is, of course, a machine we still have as an active machine, the Vario Pro. This information always relates to a specific machine type. So today's machine type is 3040-0413, which is active. The previous machine type is the 412, 411, 410. These ones are unsecured. So you cannot just look at the trade name of the machine. You really need to rely or to look at the machine type. I hope this is clear. Otherwise, you have to raise your hand and ask your questions in the chat. But currently, I don't see anything in the chat, so I assume it is understandable and clear. Okay, these are 4 important tools. Now, when we talk about lifecycle management, sooner or later it goes into lifecycle consultancy. And in there we have established, or Stefan basically has established 3 different stages of lifecycle consultancy. We have the stage 1. This is a standard LCM report about the installed equipment. Somehow pretty much what you also see in Empower. Stage 2 is if we enhance this report with information on critical parts. We always focus on PLC, on drives and panels. These are typical the components which are most critical when it comes to obsolescence risks. And stage 3 comprises of a full analysis of the installed equipment, where Stefan will show you, there we go pretty deep into the details. From bottom to top, the level of complexity and also the internal efforts increase. So a full analysis means a lot of effort internally, while a standard LCM report can be done in 10-15 minutes. This is something you can do yourself in the market organization, while a full analysis is something where Stefan is involved. So the lead is by the business unit.
At the moment.
At the moment, exactly. Maybe sooner or later we come to the point that you can do it yourself. At the moment, if you have customers which are suitable for the full stage 3 life cycle consultancy, then you can get in touch with Stefan and he will guide you through the different tasks. Stage 1, the life cycle report, is basically we take our data of the system, of the Business One system, where we maintain the installed base. We open up a report. But then we have a template. We copy the report data in the template, and at the end we have a really nice report at hand. I stick with Elanders. So here you have the link to the B1 LCM report. You can enter the customer name, show the report, and then, as we had just the customer name Elanders, we'll get a report on the different Elanders installations throughout the world with the serial number of the machines, machine type, end of warranty, manufacturing year, and life cycle status. Of course, this output is only as good as the data are maintained. There we are at the same topic again. If you see something in here which doesn't make sense, then give a feedback to make sure we can improve the data. This Business One report on LCM report is a report where basically at least all Müller-Martini people should be able to access it. So please check out the link in the presentation afterwards and get in touch if it doesn't work, so we can modify and correct the access rights. Template here is a simple Word template which gives a bit of information on the LCM report or on the LCM statement. That's how it looks. That's how it looks. We give a bit of explanation on what we still do and not do on the different phases. We give some proof of action, what we have done to maintain productivity, to ensure the support. Overview on the life cycle status. And in here, status of your machinery, that's where you simply copy in the data from the report. Quite easy process. Every one of you can do it. And there's an instruction step by step on how to create such a life cycle report based on the B1 data and based on the template. Now over to Stefan. He will talk about stage 2.
Yes, thank you very much, Adrian. Stage 2 is a little bit deeper in detail. So there again, and that's very, very important. We can show you later on the same Business One reporting based report why it is so important. There we check on the machine, and that could be physically done by an engineer of your market organization, or if you think the customer is able to do it, then he can also be advised to check these 3 main components Adrian mentioned before. So that's normally concentrated on panel, PLC, and drives. Why these 3 components? So that's the most critical parts regarding obsolescence and also regarding in case of a breakdown. Now back to the basics. If you have the wrong or not complete data in the system, and you create such a report, you can see on the right-hand side, and you send an engineer, or probably you get information from the customer, and let him fill in all the data, which is which kind of PLC, which kind of panel, which kind of drive. Out of this, we can give you a first, or the customer first statement about what can we do in case of products we already have, or where is the lack of update product or of availability of spare parts. So if you have a quick look on this sheet, Adrian, probably you can open the report again, please.
This one here.
Yes. Mm-hmm. This should hopefully guide to an example.
Come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
You can leave also this one. That's no problem. That's an example from a French customer I a little bit adapted. And there we went into the machinery, the equipment of the customer, and let it define how many. In this case, it was only about the trimmers, and to tell him, give us please the information, or our engineer again, about the 3 types Orbit Frontero. In this time, it's only 2 types, different types, and please open the cabinets or let it open and give us the information what kind of PLC type we have. That's specially marked in orange, and also what kind of panel type we have installed. On the remarks end, we can give him a rough overview to say, for this machine, for example, we could offer you a panel retrofit. This is available. But again, this is only a rough overview if we can support the customer in any way. And this manual added information you can see there, that's not filled in, of course. The only information you get from the system, that's data from the system. Adrian will show you data from the system. That's the customer, that's the equipment. And again, it's very important that you take care about this equipment data. Otherwise, it's a big effort to fill in or try to fill in all these lines and information. And at the end of the day, you show up at the customer's end and he says, well, sorry, this machine is not anymore installed. That's why it's very important to, if you have an engineer on site, let him check the installed base, let him feed it back and add it into the system.
I think this is a perfect example, because if you look here, we have 2 Orbit machine types 3675000, which have PLC type X20. And we have down here 2 Orbits, same machine type number, which are older. So they were installed 2007, 2008. They have a different PLC type. And in the end, they all show the same status. So basically, they should have different machine types. And that's exactly what I meant with the data quality. So we need to work on this historical data, because this machine type assignment also in the past has not always been properly handled. And this stage 2 report gives us the possibility to go in depth and figure out if we have some mismatch between the reality and the data.
So this could also be, and this is a fact, since we have delivered almost, if I'm not wrong, 2,000 trimmers of several types, that they were mentioned to be sent with a X20 PLC type from B&R, for example. But in fact, it could also be that it isn't. And then it could be the swap from one to the next generation. This gives us always this discrepancy where we are not sure. And the worst case, if we would tell the customer, well, easy, you have an X20 PLC, which is the latest generation. We can easily replace your panel or your drive or your this or that. But in fact, worst case, he orders it and he has the wrong PLC. And that's why it's so important to have at least a look on site for the main components. Everything else is the next topic then.
Okay.
Last point that was always asked: what's the effort to carry out such a small inspection? Or I would say per line, if an engineer has done it once, so that should be done within 1 hour. That sounds very short. That sounds very as a quick job. Actually, you just open the cabinet. An experienced electrician might see that at the first view, what kind of panel, what kind of PLC is installed. So that's more or less guideline 1 hour per production line. And we would change to the next step, Adrian, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe I can briefly jump in with a question from Michael Starford. If a limited machine is upgraded and comes back to the secure status, will this ban be shown, or is the status only traced via serial number and stays limited in the system? Okay, if we do an upgrade or a retrofit on a machine, it stays on the status it had before. So we do not kind of roll back the status of a machine from limited to secured. It will still stay on limited, but of course, the customer being aware that he will, for instance, not have a trouble on his panel because he did a panel retrofit.
There's, of course, all the other components could be an issue sooner or later.
Exactly, yeah.
Knowledge of what.
Yeah. All right, then stage 3.
Yes, so that's up to now only done by the not by the market organization, by the business unit. It was myself who carried out some inspections earlier on the mailroom systems, because that's a little bit more complex in case of we have so many different machine types working together as a workflow, let's say. But nevertheless, we tried to adapt this also to stitchers, to binders, and to all other technologies, which we are currently trying to do in as a project in Germany. And this report is based, or this inspection is based on the report 2, so the little bit deeper report, I call it. And this inspection, that's a physical inspection on site, and there we really open every cabinet. Next to us is the schematic drawings, which we compare. And this is, let's say, 100%. That's always a little bit too much, but let's say 95%. We will get the right parts, the correct part numbers. And these parts are listed. You can see it on the example here. That's an example from a new script customer, where you really open the cabinet and see what kind of PLC, what kind of I/O cards, what kind of drives, motors. We can go to the software release, etc. Why do we this, as we call it, in-depth inspection? Well, this is the absolute basis for a life cycle strategy for the customer. So on one hand, we need to decide together or sit together and discuss with the customer if we can or how we can extend the life cycle. So one opportunity that can be, or that's normally the must, that we go for one part with a retrofit. That's mostly the panel, because that's the easiest, to be honest, to replace. And for a next step, if we have an obsolete PLC or an obsolete drive, we can also, if we don't have a retrofit available, we can also add a spare part strategy on top or next to it and say, okay, for the panel, we go for a retrofit. Then we get a brand new one. And for the PLC, we'll serve you or offer you a PLC type with its belonging components. So that's I/O cards, backplanes, etc. And together, it's a project character. So we sit together and have the discussion together with the customer and his responsibles, and find out which is the easiest way to extend the life cycle for the next few years. So that cannot be done for 5 or 10 times. So Adrian mentioned it, if the machine is once obsolete, sooner or later, it's time to replace it, of course. But as a first step for a mid-age machine, or how we call it, we have quite a bit of kits available, or we are trying to develop those permanently. This is, as I said, it's a little bit more effort. Out of the experience, I would say 1 day per line. So what is a line? If you have a binder, perfect binder, so that's the gatherer together with the binder and all belonging components. that's enough one day. It depends, of course, if a customer has a next room saddle stitcher or something else, then you need to little bit clarify what exactly he wants to inspect it from your end. You can also turn back to me with a little bit more experience, I guess. I can give you a rough idea how long it should take for this inspection. Up to now, we took always one electrician, one service technician from the market organization with me or with us, just to give him information and then show him the procedure, how it works. These engineers know the customer, they know the machine, they know where the cabinets are, etc. So it's always helpful if you can manage it that way.
Mm-hmm. Maybe to give you a bit of an idea of the complexity, this chart here with all the components and all the different machines and so on, that's only an extract. In reality, that's how it looks. No, that's sometimes a bit tricky, huh? There we are. So, okay. So you can imagine how much work is involved in preparing this. That's from a large mailroom, so it's maybe not the standard size, but
not anymore.
It requires a lot of know-how, it requires a lot of work, but in the end, the customer has a really clear picture on where it's critical, there are critical parts. And with this consultancy, with this audit we provide, he has also a perspective, a way into the future. Absolutely. And we had examples, for instance, from the USA, where an audit like this was kind of an eye-opener to the customer, and in the end led to investment in new machines, which is ultimately, of course, also our goal. We cannot prolong the lifetime of a machine forever, but we can give a customer a few additional years of lifetime, depending on the machine. And throughout this time, he needs to think about, what do I do after these additional years? And then we need to talk about new investments. So it's both sides, but overall, something like this proves competency, proves reliability, proves, hey, we are a strong partner. We know what we are doing. Such a level 3 audit, I don't think it's something we do for every saddle stitcher. It's, I would say it's dedicated to the larger customers with multiple lines, with a lot of machines installed. They need to know they need to have this information from us in order to establish their proper strategy.
Exactly. And it worked. We've done it for a few machines next to the mailroom technology, and that's, I guess, a good basis to give the customer a first view into his future.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right, so that was about life cycle management. Pretty much information on pretty few slides. I hope you can digest it. Let's jump over to MMUptodate. Basically, when we talk about MMUptodate, we have two different aspects to consider. Machines in the active and secured state. There, the key message is we help you to handle your future needs. So the focus is on flexibility. The existing machine can be adapted to changing needs. It is about investment protection, the right equipment also for the future. Adapt the machine to new production or market requirements, and it is about adding new functionality. This is the classical upgrades we do. Extend additional feeders on a saddle stitcher, put in a PR nozzle system on a perfect binder, that kind of stuff which relates to active and secured machines. When we talk about limited machines, then our key message is we help you to manage your risks. So in the limited stage, we might have control components which are obsolete, which are discontinued. So here the focus is on extending the life cycle of your machine, ensure the quality and reliability of the production, and handle obsolescence issues. So in the limited stage, we mainly talk about retrofits. So upgrades in active and secured, retrofits in limited stage. Of course, we have internal motivations and triggers. We experience many discontinuations from our suppliers. The life cycles, mainly of electronic parts, become shorter and shorter. That's a challenge for us. You would not imagine how much effort we have in R&D, and how much investment we put in just to make sure that we keep active and secured machines on a good level. But there are constant discontinuations from our suppliers. Our R&D guys need to exchange one part by another. Of course, now we do it within the release packages of the machines, but this is a major task, which is often not seen, but which consumes around 30 to 40% of our R&D efforts, just to keep machines alive.
Quick update, Adrian, just to tell you or our colleagues, there's on an Akku-Post drive, so that's in all of our machines installed. So there is an interface card which was discontinued, and this makes your machine not anymore running. And therefore, to find a successor type which does not fit, that's not so easy, and that can cause a software update on the machine. That can also cause to replace the entire drive, etc. So it's a lot of effort in the end.
Exactly. That's the point where we need to clearly make a point. What do we do in which of the life cycle status? Then we have know-how loss, especially on legacy equipment due to retirements. Fewer and fewer people know about the 20 to 25-year-old machines. Just to give you an example, Felix Stirnemann told me, in R&D we had 5 employees retiring the same day. We lost this one day more than 150 years of experience on our machines. I think it's clear that we cannot compensate this loss of experience, even if we employ new people, but they will focus on the new machine, and it's not possible that they have the experience these retired people had. So it is important that we all know about this situation, because it also is an important reason why we do all that, what we do. And last but not least, we need to manage priorities. We cannot do everything, and we cannot do everything at the same time. So this life cycle status in relation to MMUptodate also helps us to manage the priorities. There is just a few examples on what we can do on active and secured machines. Perfect binders, for instance, add a pure nozzle system, extend an existing system with end-sheet feeder, mull station, extension of gathering machines, upgrade gathering machines with ASIR Pro, of course, depending on the generation we have installed. You know that ASIR 3, we do not provide upgrades anymore because of limited availability of the camera electronics. So we need to be careful on this. On saddle stitchers, we can add additional feeders. We could, for instance, extend the machine by a merchandise tipper to address additional market segments, to create or to our customer can produce higher value products. He can add stream feeders to increase the productivity. Small size kit, large size kit, center cut, trio cut, punch hole cut, and of course also adding easier pro quality controls. So a lot of different possibilities which help our customers to adapt the machine to his current needs. In Status Limited, we have a range of retrofit packages to exchange obsolete PLC, drives, and panels. Yes, we had already talked about this. We do a lot of efforts to ensure spare part supply. We do last buys when an electronic component is discontinued from the supplier. Suppliers offer us the possibility to do a last buy. We then project the spare parts consumption over a certain period of years. We purchase the parts in that quantity. That's a high investment. We put parts in our stock just to make sure that we can ensure spare part supply. So 4 years, exactly. So don't underestimate the efforts we do. This is millions and millions of Swiss francs we invest for our customers. On the portal, you find our up-to-date catalogs where the available retrofit packages can be found together with the other upgrades which are available. We changed the catalogs a bit, so they do not contain prices. They contain mainly the information on the packages which are available. But as we have seen, there are so many variants and versions of the machine out in the field. It is basically always a project that it needs to be determined down to the individual machine. What's the effort to include a certain package? Therefore, place your inquiry on the single point of entry to receive an offer from the factory. Single point of entry, we will talk about in a minute. Okay, what is important when we talk about extension and retrofit requests? We have a variety of versions and releases in the field of every machine. Therefore, generic statements about the feasibility of extensions are mostly not possible. And every extension, every retrofit has the character of a project. There are few to known out-of-the-box solutions. For us internally, to process a request, proper data about the installed machine are important. That's machine type, KA number, serial number. Deliver this with the request, please, to make sure our specialists can provide or process the request efficiently. And please do not offer or promote up-to-date products for obsolete machines or lines. We really, our message to the customer is no more updates, no more retrofit on obsolete machines. We need to make sure that we act accordingly. Update and retrofit business is quite an important piece of our MMServices offerings. We have around 800 extension requests per year. Throughout our organization, with the people in R&D dedicated to these requests, with the specialists, we have around 20 people which work on processing your requests. They have with quick access or direct access to R&D. So we take this really seriously. Update revenue is around 8 million Swiss francs every year, which significantly contributes to the revenue in MMServices. And our aim is to provide new solutions to figure out where we have critical corners, where we have upgrade potential, and to provide solutions to it. It doesn't always go as quick as you would like to have it. But as I said before, we have also to manage priorities. You should know that our upgrade process, it starts up here in the left corner. Customer has a requirement for a modification, for an upgrade, for a retrofit, addresses the market organization. The market organization enters that request on the single point of entry list. In the business unit, the support specialist processes the request. If he can do it himself, it goes directly back to the market organization with a quote, with a solution, and with an answer. Or there's the bypass via R&D, where R&D has to judge the complexity, judge the efforts to realize or to implement the customer requirement, and then the answer goes back to the end market organization. Customer gets a qualified answer, is happy, and hopefully places an order. A bit of fun needs to be as well. Okay, single point of entry. For most of you, probably a repetition, but Stefan, go ahead.
Easy task, I hope. So we established it now for 5 or 6 or 7 years almost. And just a quick reminder, what we've known and what we do every day. It's important to have this single point of entry. Why? Many years ago, there were requests via telephone, via SMS, and via WhatsApp, and in every channel. And you can imagine information got lost. That's why we introduced a single point of entry to collect it in a bottle and to do a proper request or a work or an offer out of it. You might know, if you see on the right-hand side, that's the portal side, the technical parts and price inquiry. That's another topic which we do not talk about now, but that's the entry page. If you go onto that link, price complaints, and then our topic, we're talking about new extension requests. And if you would ask for a documentation, that's also on the same portal page. These entries are, I would say, quite helpful. You should normally get the status or an update on the status. There's few status available, if it's in progress, if it's already done, or if it's new. If you have not received an answer, that can be from time to time, that because it's based on the machine number type, this 4-digit number. It can be that from time to time one machine is not clearly clarified and it falls in between, so it does not end somewhere on somebody's desk. So please go and call. You can call me or call the responsive person you know, and then we will follow up with that. I think we don't go deeper into this topics.
No,
you should
all. It should be clear. Otherwise, if it's not clear, you can always get in touch with us, and then we give you individual information.
Some interesting figures, and that's only for the request page, single point of entry for extension requests. So that's not spares, that's only extensions. You can see between 2020 and 2023, so there's always a level of around 800 requests per year. That's quite stable, and that shows us that this is a good basis to get to information from your end, from the market organization. If you see on the right-hand side how it's divided, so soft cover, the yellow pillar, that's where we got the most requests. That's a fact. You can see that on the statistics. Few words to the mailroom. That's the green one that decreases. 2020 was still around 100 requests. 2023, there's probably not anymore 50, and it almost stopped with requests since you all know we've stopped continuing with mailroom business in several issues, new machines, etc. One other issue, the life cycle status of machine in the single point request on the right side below. There is still 82 of total, I should be calculating 790 if I'm not wrong. It's still 82, so that must be almost 10% of requests for obsolete machines, which gives us a lot of work. And Adrian mentioned before, we really want to prevent that we get that many obsolete requests. So if you put in this request on your machine, you can see prior to sending send or pushing send button, you can see in which status the machine is. It can be a quick answer, sorry, machine is obsolete, or it can also have a big consequence if nobody recognizes at the first view that is an obsolete machine, it can go through the whole mill and gives a lot of effort. Again, it's still 10% requests are in for machines in obsolete status. Single point of entry, no questions. So Adrian, your topic, I guess.
No, your topic again. Yeah, it's you again. I have one more to go.
One more to go. Classifications. So that was introduced many years ago as a little bit the marketing idea, but it's quite helpful to start a discussion. For example, I just picked out a few examples. You can see on the upper side which label belongs to which name, so quality, availability, new markets. I would say mostly we are concentrating, if you're talking about retrofit or life cycle, you're talking about availability, process reliability. I would say that's the most topic we're talking about in our business. But there is also, if you what you hear before and what you will see on the examples for the Drupa, then on the next slides, if you're talking about extensions for new or for newer machines, there can also be new markets, products for new markets where you can increase the productivity or the quality. That's just an overview. You will also find some of these labels on the next slides or the slides after, where we're talking about Drupa specifically. And we try to put on every kit or on every upgrade kind of this label.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Okay, so that was the part about MMUptodate. No further questions in the chat so far. How are you doing? Still okay?
Everybody fell asleep.
It's always the question. You never know if people are still there. Okay, I see a few I see a few thumbs up. That's a good sign. Of course, those which are asleep, they don't show any sign of life. But yeah, they can look at the recording afterwards. All right. That's a bit the difficult task on this webinar, so you don't really know how your audience is feeling. I hope you're feeling okay. I hope it's interesting and you are ready to go with me into the MMSelect topic. Okay, let's start again. When we talk about MMSelect, questions to ask are: what keeps the customer awake at night? You remember that from the Tony Kenny sessions, but it's really good questions to ask. Yeah, if I'm the customer, oh God, I only have one binder. I don't have any redundancy. What happens if this machine breaks? Next week, I have a very important job. I can't afford the breakdown on my machine while this job is running. Otherwise, I lose a lot of reputation. it's a big customer. And if I have a machine breakdown, I'm not seen as a reliable partner to this customer anymore. So next time I might lose the print job. I'm not considered a reliable partner. And if the machine breaks down, do I have a chance to send work out? Is there anyone around who could help me out? And with my aging equipment, can I still fulfill the obligations toward my customer with the tight deadlines, with the shorter jobs, with the flexibility they require from me? So you see, our customers in many aspects, they have similar headaches, similar pain points as we have towards our customers. And MMSelect is about addressing these pain points. Don't be irritated by these graphics, but it highlights pretty nicely what it is about. You have here on the horizontal axis the amount of preventive maintenance. And if we talk about preventive maintenance, we are talking MMSelect agreements. On the vertical axis, we have the costs. A customer who does not do any preventive maintenance, he has no costs for preventive maintenance, which is the blue line. But he has high cost for reactive maintenance, corrective maintenance, break fix. When he increases his preventive maintenance, the reactive maintenance, the break fix costs go down. And at a certain moment in time, with a certain amount of preventive maintenance, he reaches the minimum costs. And that's what the customer wants. Get a reliably working machine with minimal costs. And therefore, we need to find this sweet spot, this optimal zone where the overall costs are at the minimum. And we all know that our customers are different. And so are their requirements related to preventive maintenance. We have the break fix customers who run the machine until it breaks. I mean, in a discussion with such customers, please show them such a graph next time. It's not a Miller-Martini graph. It's of something I stole, and it's not scientifically, but the tendency is clear. Customer, you need to look at your costs. But if you go only for break fix, your overall costs will be much higher compared to if we invest in a certain amount of preventive maintenance, then you will have lower total costs, despite the fact that you have to pay for preventive maintenance. On the other side, we have customers where preventive maintenance is a clear part of their strategy. And now guess who is more successful in the long term? And this needs discussions with the customer. This needs an understanding where the customer is and suggesting him tailor-made measures. Therefore, MMSelect is about choice. In the end, it's a customer who decides how much preventive maintenance he wants to have, but it is our task to consult him. That's why we have this modular concept, which can be tailored to customer needs. So we do not have a fixed package. This is the preventive maintenance you need to have. You tailor it to the customer's needs. The core element of an MMSelect agreement is always scheduled maintenance, but the customer determines, based on discussions with you, how many assignments per year he wants to have. What's the length of each assignment based on our recommendations? Which machines need to have which level of preventive maintenance? Maybe there are machines where he has redundancy, where he has less preventive maintenance. When a machine is his core pillar to the production, then he needs to make sure that he has a good level of preventive maintenance to reduce the risk of unplanned breakdowns to a minimum. mostly internal, is the important fact. We need, whenever we do maintenance agreements or MMSelect agreements, we need to ensure that it is good business for Miller Martini. We had the situation in the past that we kind of overpromised to the customer. We had agreements which were not covering their costs, and that's something we need to avoid. Going back to the Tony Kenny sessions, all business needs to be good business. On MMSelect, we have a relatively low level of standardizations across the MM organization. It's always a lot of local flavor involved. Therefore, what we do, we give you kind of a framework. We give you the pieces of a puzzle, and you can take these pieces and put together a package for your customers which matches. And I know that this is very different from organization to organization. In some countries, customers are reluctant to investing in preventive maintenance. Maybe give another try. Take this graph and have another discussion with these reluctant customers and try to convince them that preventive maintenance is in their best interest to reduce the risk and to reduce the overall costs. We want to increase, we have a clear target to increase the number of machines lines under an MMSelect agreement. And the vision statement from Felix is clear. By 2027, 80% of all active machines are with a remote support agreement, and 50% have a maintenance agreement. That was the BHAG Felix expressed throughout during the hybrid sales and service excellence trainings, but that's a BHAG we should aim for. Why should we do it? There are benefits, not only for the customer, but every MMSelect agreements give large benefits to our organizations. We have a predictable, continuous revenue flow. We have plannable assignments. There is a need too much, sorry for that. Plannable assignments of service technicians. For our service coordinators, it's a nightmare if all the customers are only on break fix. You always have too little or too many people. With MMSelect agreements, you can plan them so they have a high level of utilization, which is plannable. This reduces the costs for the organization overall. And last but not least, we are in regular contact with a customer, and not only when the machine is breaking down and the customer has a red face and is at 180. So we can have much more business discussions or much more substantial discussions with him throughout a predictive maintenance assignment compared to a break fix assignment. Therefore, we need to include the MMSelect agreement in a machine sale, for instance, called an Enhanced Equipment Protection Program, which is following the warranty period. And we need to focus on our MMServices sales to sell MMSelect agreements to existing lines. Good question, George. George asked, where do we stand now regarding our BHAG 80%, 50%? I don't have this figure right at hand. I will show you how many lines we have under contract, but it is not put in relation to the number of lines we actually have installed. Okay, so that's our vision and strategy for the years to come. Clear focus on selling select agreements. What products, when we talk business one, or when we talk price positions, what products do we have to sell MMSelect agreements? We do have the traditional products, Flexo service, maintenance service, which have been introduced years ago. Then we have the so-called new contract or new agreement products, MMSelect maintenance, Select check, Select training, repair, peak support. And we also have specific Select agreements from MMUS in the system. They are currently only used by MMUS, but they are available to our worldwide organization. MMUS has defined agreements for 1 week per year, for 2 weeks per year, 3 weeks per year, or 4 weeks per year. So 1 assignment, 2 assignments, 3 assignments, 4 assignments, depending on the needs of the customer. That's basically the toolbox you can serve yourself. All these price positions, they have no fixed price because it depends on the duration, it depends on the travel times, it depends on which machines need to be serviced. So this is something you need to make up yourself. But the positions, the price positions give you a framework, give you the guidelines, and give a description or a specifications of the services we provide. Maintenance service and Flexo service, that's the well-known products we have. We recommend not to create any more new contracts or new agreements based on these products. They are not so clearly defined what is included, what is not included. So either you define it specifically for each customer, but the price position itself does not include this definition. In the new products, this 250 to 254, we have included this specification. That was also one of the main reasons to create them. Currently, you see here how many active agreements we have on this old MMSelect products. In total, we have around 100 active Flexo services and 36 active maintenance services. That's throughout all the current Business One systems. Of course, I don't have a view on those countries which do not have Business One in operation. So there might be a few more, but I assume the majority is covered here. Then when we look at the new Select products, the core element is the Select maintenance, the maintenance piece of the puzzle. Around that, we can have a pre-maintenance inspection, which is the MMSelect check. It links to the maintenance, but it makes sure that the one who provides the maintenance has a clear picture on the status of the machine. We can include training days in this package. We can include peak support in this package. And if there are planned repairs, we can also include them in this package in the Select agreement. So the customer has some favorable rates for a repair, which is not due immediately. So it is not a break fix repair, it's a planned repair. What are the advantages? We aimed at having a clear structure of the MMSelect agreement. Sorry for the word contract, it's an agreement. That leads to transparency. We have detailed descriptions. It's clear what is included and what not. And again, it's a modular concept based on the maintenance agreement, and we wrap the different other elements around it. The internal advantages of these new Select agreements, they are easier to handle. We have an easier reporting. We need to know where we are, where we stand with an agreement. And we want to achieve a more uniform handling in all the organizations. There still needs to be and can be the local flavor, but the products, the price positions which are used should be identical throughout our organization. This one, again, in an overview with the 5 core components: select maintenance, select repair, select check, select training, and select peak support, where basically the select maintenance, that's a key element, that's the mandatory component of the agreement. These are the key elements. So on the maintenance, we define a certain number of maintenance windows per year or assignments per year. We use defined checklist. Core components of the system are checked. Maintenance is carried out in accordance with the operating instructions, and in the end, the customer receives the maintenance report. The check includes a standardized inspection based on our inspection checklist where it is available. And in the end, there is an inspection report. Training aims at regularly maintain and increase the know-how of the employees of our customers. So when we include a certain amount of training days in the select agreement, customers have a lot of changes in personnel. They have new operators which maybe are not properly trained. It's a good idea to use the maintenance agreement to add, based on discussions with the customer, a certain number of training days where his new operators will be properly trained by our people. So it is then not just training on the job, they receive a structured training. Depends, of course, on the training needs of the employees, and in the end, we define together with our specialists a targeted training program. Repair, if there is a major planned repair to be done, this can be included in the select agreement instead of using the reactive mode. We can have the proactive mode, which is a different rate. And last but not least, mainly customers in the digital environment. The peak season support is also part of this new MMSelect structure. In the peak production times, our digital customers expect highest availability of the machines, and the peak season support can ensure this, be it having people on standby, be it by having people on site. There are different levels we can go for, but it can all be covered under this MMSelect peak season support price position. In each of these price positions, we have included some kind of general conditions to make clear what is included and what not. So the customer and we know we have a clear and transparent understanding. I don't go into the details of that. You can read it through by yourself. Maybe just as a, well, food for thought, I added here the MMUS service agreement language. That's the way you MMUS includes in a MMSelect agreement or in an MMSelect proposal some language where they highlight the many years of experience we have. They point out the message: we are your strong partner for the lifetime of your machine, maximize the availability, minimize faults and costs. Exactly the key arguments I brought up, which speak for an MMSelect agreement. They are included here in every proposal. And of course, we all need to make use of each other. So if you are interested in having these templates, we can provide them to you. Because that leads me to a next point. Yesterday I took out the active MMSelect orders. That means orders where we have an end MMSelect agreements where we have an end date which is greater than yesterday. And we see MMUS is traditionally using these weeks, MMSelect weeks, and they have a high number of select agreements, while other countries have few to none. And I really wonder why it should only be possible in US to sell MMSelect agreements. And I think that's a common task for all of us to work on increasing the number of select agreements throughout our organization in all the different countries. And this will be a focus topic. You have seen the vision statement from Felix. This will be a focus topic this year at Drupa, next year, the year after next year. So be prepared. We will get in touch with you and work on methods, work on strategies to increase the number of select agreements.
Question from India, from PR.
Yeah.
If you want to have a statement.
Yes, of course. That's what I mentioned, PR. Thanks for that. This is relating to business one countries because that's where I can draw out the numbers. It's good that you have a few select agreements in India as well. And unfortunately, it doesn't show here because you don't have business one in operation yet. So it doesn't give us the 100% complete picture, but I would say 90% of our business in the meantime is covered with within business one. Therefore, it is a 90% picture to call it like this. Okay, to summarize, key messages for our customers. When you talk to your customers, maybe you can highlight these 4 bullet points. Dear Mr. Customers, when you have an MMSelect maintenance agreement, you have less downtimes, you have less risk. You have to worry less about unplanned downtimes. You, Mr. Customer, are a reliable, as we want to be a reliable partner to you. You want to be, or you must be a reliable partner to your customers, delivering high quality products on time. MMSelect agreement helps you in achieving this. An MMSelect agreement helps you in increasing your productivity and availability. Your equipment runs an optimal productivity level and has a high availability. And in the end, it is all about protecting your valuable assets on the long term. So when you talk to customers next time, and that's all food for thought, try to take these messages up, include them in your talks to the customer, and see how the reaction is. It is business topics. It is topics a customer will understand. Good. Questions about the MMSelect part? There's nothing in the chat, but now it's the time to ask questions. All right, seems not to be the case, so we continue with a brief look into our Drupa booth. MMServices, what do we show? We have here our very nice Drupa layout with some secret Hunkeler equipment we do not talk about today. We have our Sigma line Compact Antaro Infinitrim line. We have our Primera Pro. We have the Ventura. we have our cockpit, and over here we have our MMSelect corner. MMSelect corner looks pretty much like this, and it covers basically a walk, MMServices Drupa walk, which consists of 9 different elements. It starts at the MMServices navigator, therefore it's very prominent. It's the first station on the Drupa walk, therefore make sure you're familiar with it when you come to Drupa. On number 2, we talk about MM Startup and MM Improve. Number 3, we talk about MM Support and MM Inspect. 4 is about parts. 5, we show 5 to 8 are different examples of upgrades and retrofits. Number 5 includes an upgrade front trimming to the infinite trim. Number 6 shows how to upgrade a pure nozzle system. Number 7 shows the workbook perforation to a Sigma line. Number 8 are different examples for retrofits on panels, PLCs, and drives. And number 9, to close with, is MMSelect. So on station number 9, we will have template agreements ready where you can talk to the customer and have the contract or the agreement signed directly at Drupa. That's something we will, of course, highlight during the briefing day again, but that's the upgrade for the front trim device on the infinite trim, which offers a new functionality to the infinite trim, which gives the customer the possibility to address new markets, soft cover books with gatefolded covers. With folded covers, the upgrade can be ordered as an option for new infinite trims from Drupa onwards, or later on in form of an extension. And we will have this functionality integrated in the infinite trim, which is part of the Drupa Sigma line compact Antara line. So this will be one exhibit. We will not have the full set there. You will see it in the infinite trim, but we will have videos at display, explanations, and we will of course have live product examples which highlight what we can do. Then we have the VPN Flex nozzle system, which can be added on to Vario Pro and Allegro. Customer which initially, for instance, invested only in a hot melt machine can add on a nozzle system basically anytime later, use PUR to meet changing customer requirements. And the nozzle system basically always includes the glue application control, which does a precise measurement of the glue application, thickness, edge gluing, etc. This is the next thing we have live on display. So we will have this VPN trolley with the glue application control integrated, and we will also have the pre-melter as some tangible assets on our Drupa books. Then workbook perforation for Sigma line. There we will have a live sample allowing us to produce workbooks. You see here these perforated workbooks. That's quite often requested in educational student books, this kind of products, which can be installed at the very beginning in a Sigma line or later in form of an extension. And it is an option and an upgrade both to Sigma line 3 and to Sigma line Compact. also helps the customer to address new markets and to increase the quality of products. Then we come to retrofits. We come to Stefan.
Back to me. It's a well-known product, the next 3 slides. So we're talking about the saddle stitch, I don't name it now, where we have a retrofit, the classic retrofit for all 3 components I've talked about a few minutes before. So that's the panel, which was actually obsolete, not anymore available from B&R. And the next step is then the PLC and the drives. So that's a typical example of a classic retrofit for all three main components. This will be shown at Drupa. Few words about it. We've sold, if I'm not wrong, about 80 of these kits, so 80. That's not all 3 kits together. That can be independently used. So the panel, depending on the machine generation or machine type of which we were talking about, depending on this generation or type, the panel can be replaced independently. The PLC, that's the next slide. Adrian, if you could swap quickly.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. The PLC, that's a retrofit which cannot be done independently because PLC is communicating always with to be replaced, cannot be replaced independently. Underneath, you can see the classifications as we've talked about before: process reliability, new PLC, much easier handling, and availability. Of course, the spare parts are again available if you compare with the original PLC, which was installed in the meantime 15 or 20 years ago. And last but not least, that's the drive. The lens drive can also be replaced as an option or can be included into the complete package of retrofit for this stitch generation. Important, that's everything seen and visible in the catalog without prices. Adrian mentioned that we do not show any more prices. Please request or put a request on the single point of entry, and it will be checked internally for which generation of this mentioned saddle stitches we can provide which kit in which combination. Well, that's a quick overview about the retrofit you can find then on the booth in Düsseldorf.
Of course, those of you which come to Düsseldorf, as I mentioned, we have the briefing day that gives us the possibility to go through this Drupa walk, to talk in detail on these individual stations. But it is important that you have seen it and that you are prepared and you know what comes in terms of Uptodate and Select. All right, so MMSelect Drupa show will consist of a monitor. We have these template contracts ready to be signed. We have our Drupa walk, the wording, the cheat sheet, as for all the other labels of MMServices. We have also the cheat sheet for MMSelect. And you will be required to learn this cheat sheet or to have it in mind. So we have a common language when you talk to your customers through our services corner. And as MMSelect is the last station of our MMServices walk at Drupa, this is the point where we need to have kind of a call to action. Drupa is a great opportunity to promote and sell MMSelect agreements and of course also other MMServices products. And when you come to station number 9 to the MMSelect table, then it would be the time to ask the customer, okay, now you have seen a lot. What raised your interest during this MMServices walk? What shall be the focus of our services conversation? And how can we support you to maintain your productivity and reduce your risks? Why not start with an MMSelect agreement? So please keep this in mind, prepare yourself accordingly. It would be really our goal to close a few agreements directly at the booth by having this communication, this conversation with the customer in a convincing manner. So he sees the benefits of our select agreements and signs right at the booth. That's what we would like to have. We need your support on that. And I'm sure we can count on you. Last but not least, we have here a collection of useful links. So you do not have to search things together. I don't jump into these ones anymore. And with the useful links, we actually reach the end of that presentation. Now it's the time for you to ask all the questions you didn't dare to ask before. So microphones are open now. No more need to mute. Ten, 9, 8.
Happy birthday, Adrian.
Oh, thank you. That's not a question, that's a statement.
Wow.
But thank you anyway. Okay, so it's always difficult to draw a conclusion if it's silent on the other end. Either everything is clear, you are fully convinced about what we told you, or you think, oh, this was all crap, so I don't get, I didn't understand, doesn't make sense to me. So let me know. We did our best to convey the message. It's your task to take up the points we conveyed, and of course we are there for you. Not only today, also until Drupa, throughout Drupa, and also after Drupa.
Many thanks, Adrian from Philippines, and see you at Drupa.
That's great. Then I finally will meet you. I have seen you so many times in our webinars. Thanks for joining all these webinars. Hope it was always interesting, and it will be a pleasure to meet you in person.
Same here. Thank you.
All right then. Thanks a lot for joining in. Have a nice day, good week, and talk to you and see you soon.
Have a good rest of the day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.